The ocean stretches endlessly, calm yet mysterious, its deep blue surface hiding stories of courage, power, and innovation. As the sun rises over the horizon, a massive silhouette cuts through the mist, an engineering marvel of steel and strategy. This is the battleship, a symbol of dominance on the high seas and one of humanity's greatest military achievements. These colossal vessels were not just machines, they were floating fortresses, built to withstand the fiercest attacks and unleash devastating power in return. Imagine the sound of roaring engines, the vibration of heavy cannons, and the disciplined footsteps of hundreds of sailors moving in perfect synchronization. Every inch of the battleship was designed with precision and purpose. From its thick armor plates that could resist torpedoes and shells, to its massive guns capable of striking enemies dozens of miles away, the battleship represented the peak of naval warfare technology in its time. The story of the battleship begins in the late 19th century, during an era of industrial and military transformation. Nations were racing to control the seas, and whoever ruled the waves ruled the world. The introduction of steel hulls, steam power, and advanced artillery changed everything. The British Royal Navy, with its revolutionary ship HMS Dreadnought launched in 1906, set a new standard. This ship was so advanced that it made every other warship in existence obsolete overnight. The term, dreadnought, became synonymous with modern battleships, sparking an intense global arms race. These floating giants were more than just tools of war, they were symbols of national pride. Countries like the United States, Japan, Germany, and Britain poured immense resources into creating the most powerful ships ever built. Each battleship carried a crew of thousands, living in a steel city that moved across the ocean. Inside, sailors slept in narrow bunks stacked one over another, engineers worked in boiling hot engine rooms, and officers strategized in command centers filled with maps, radios, and mechanical instruments. The world wars turned these ships into the ultimate weapons. During World War I, battleships played a key role in blockades and major confrontations like the Battle of Jutland, where entire fleets clashed in deadly exchanges of firepower. Yet it was World War II that truly tested their might. The massive guns thundered across the seas, launching explosive shells that lit up the skies. The USS Missouri, the Yamato, the Bismarck, names that still echo in history. The German battleship Bismarck, for example, was one of the most feared warships ever constructed. When it entered service in 1940, it was nearly invincible. With thick armor, powerful guns, and unmatched speed, it became a legend. The Royal Navy's mission to hunt down and sink the Bismarck remains one of the most dramatic pursuits in naval history. After days of chase, fierce combat, and heavy losses, the Bismarck was finally sunk, marking the end of an era for German naval dominance. On the other side of the world, the Japanese battleship Yamato became a symbol of both pride and tragedy. Weighing over 70,000 tons, it was the largest battleship ever built, armed with 9 massive 18-inch guns, the biggest ever mounted on a warship. But as the war progressed, aircraft carriers began to change the course of naval warfare. Planes could strike from hundreds of miles away, rendering the mighty battleship vulnerable. In 1945, Yamato met its fate when waves of American aircraft bombarded it, sending the once invincible ship to the bottom of the sea. It became clear that the age of the battleship was coming to an end. The rise of air power and missiles transformed naval strategy forever. Yet, battleships continued to serve with distinction in later decades. The U.S. Navy's Iowa-class battleships, including the USS Iowa, USS New Jersey, USS Missouri, and USS Wisconsin, became legendary during the mid-20th century. They saw action in Korea, Vietnam, and even the Gulf War, providing heavy bombardment and support for ground troops. The USS Missouri, in particular, holds a special place in history. It was on her deck that Japan formally surrendered in 1945, bringing World War II to an end. That moment marked not just the victory of the Allies, but also the symbolic closing chapter of the battleship era. The Missouri continued to serve for decades, a reminder of the power and precision that once ruled the seas. Walking through a preserved battleship today feels like stepping back in time. You can almost hear the echoes of commands shouted across the deck, the clanging of metal, and the deep hum of engines far below. The massive turrets, each weighing hundreds of tons, stand like silent guardians of history. Every corridor, every cabin, every control room tells a story of teamwork, sacrifice, and determination. Behind the steel and firepower were human beings, young sailors who spent months at sea, far from home, trusting their ship and their crewmates with their lives. They faced storms, enemy fire, and the constant tension of battle. The bravery of these men and women turned the battleship from a machine into a living symbol of endurance and courage. Even though battleships are no longer built for modern navies, their legacy lives on. Their technology influenced the design of destroyers, cruisers, and aircraft carriers that rule the seas today. Their spirit continues in naval academies, museums, and the hearts of those who serve at sea. These vessels remind us of an age when sheer size and firepower defined strength, but also when discipline, intelligence, and innovation decided victory. From the thunder of their guns to the quiet dignity they now rest in as museum ships, battleships stand as monuments to human ingenuity. They were the guardians of nations, protectors of freedom, and symbols of power that could change the tide of war. Their story is one of progress, conflict, and resilience, a story forever written in the waves. The next time you see one of these mighty ships anchored by a pier, look closer. Imagine the stormy nights it faced, the battles it fought, the flags it flew, and the history it witnessed. For within its steel walls lies the heart of an era when oceans trembled beneath its hull and the world held its breath at the thunder of its guns. The battleship may no longer rule the seas, but it will forever rule the imagination. A timeless reminder that even the strongest giants, forged in steel and fire, eventually give way to new generations, but their legend never sinks.